Hi, Bighara here with another installment of my video blog. A little bit different venue today. I am actually down in the Geekcave proper. Those of you who watched the early episodes of my video blog have probably seen this same stretch of wall behind me with my Scotland map and other things there. Down here for a couple reasons. One, it's a little bit quieter, or hopefully it will be quieter. Two, I'm using a different camera other than my little webcam. This is an actual digital video camera that I've had for a little while and I've been intending to use for this purpose, and I'm finally getting around to giving it a shot. And then also, I'm hoping that in the future I may be able to use the camera and this space to actually expand a little what I show on the video blog, including maybe some of the stuff I do with the miniatures. Things like recently I posted a video where I was doing a quick rules explanation of Song of Blades and Heroes skirmish, where I might be able to show some of that kind of thing, scenery, terrain, that sort of stuff as well. We'll see. But for now, just trying out the camera and this setup. Today I wanted to talk about something I call rational adventure design. Rational adventure design is the idea of when you're creating a module and dungeon adventure, or campaign even, you are trying to work within a rational framework. Now this can be simply trying to stick to the rules as written, or whatever pre-established house rules you may have in your game. It may be trying to stick to things like actual real-world science, like the laws of physics and so forth and so on. And the idea being that you are trying to make an internally consistent and almost naturalistic kind of a game. It's not the only way to do it. It's not the best way to do it. It's not the worst way to do it. It's just one method. I tend to try to be fairly rational in the way I do the stuff I write for Faster Monkey. Because it's for publication, and if I'm going to publish something that's going to be used by other people, I don't want to have it littered with lots of special exceptions to the rules or things that don't have an explanation as to why they exist, because as the creator of that adventure, I feel like I should be putting out a certain amount of information for the GM to use. So if their players say, but why? That there's some reason for it, or at least it makes sense. That's not something that happens out of the blue and doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason to it. That said, there are different facets to rational design, and each of them has its own sort of ups and downs to it. So that's what I want to talk about today. So let's get started. All right, first off, let's talk about what many people have phrased dungeon ecology. Dungeon ecology is sort of a Gary Gygax kind of a term. Another term is Gygaxian Naturalism, which is something I enjoy trying to work into my games when I can. And different people have different ideas about what that means. For me, what that implies is the idea that the dungeon, and this could be, you know, a city, a wilderness situation, or an actual, you know, subterranean labyrinth, is a living, breathing, dynamic environment, and that there is a internal logic to how it works. This can include things like monster territory, and that can be how much space warband of 50 orcs needs. Speaking of space, this includes trying to avoid certain pitfalls like the elder dragon in a 10 by 10 foot room. This can include the idea that if it's something where they are looking for food and water, that they have supplies for that. One definition of dungeon ecology is what do the monsters eat when they can't find adventurer? So, you know, that sort of thing. How do they live? How do they survive? Why are they there? Why would that rust monster be in that room or in that tunnel? Did he just wander in? Is there actually a good reason for why he would exist there? Perhaps there was lots of, if it was a mine, maybe there was iron deposits, something like that. These are all the ideas where you try to figure out why is it there. This also extends beyond the monsters. This can extend to environmental things. How did that pool of lava get there? Is there actually a volcanic vent underneath this thing? Is it a gate to the elemental plane of fire? I mean, any of those things in a fantasy situation are fine, but the question is, which one is it? These are all the kinds of things in a rational adventure design that you might want to consider. Another factor to consider is, why is the quote-unquote dungeon there in the first place? Is it a series of natural caves? Is it a ancient crashed starship? Is it a ruined temple or castle? Is it something that was built by the current inhabitants? Is it an orc fortress? You know, another factor to think about is, in the building of this thing, how was it built? And this can include everything from, you can get into the level of detail, like, where did this stone come from? The entire castle is made out of this black granite. And it's like, okay, well, where did all this black granite come from? Is there a quarry nearby? Or something like that. That may be getting into a bigger level of detail than you want to, more depth. But, it's the kind of thing that some people like to think about. Speaking of construction, things like traps. Is that pit trap, has that been there since the ruined temple was built, before it was ruined? Or is that something that was dug and put in place by the kobolds that are inhabiting it now? How is it triggered? Is it is there a trip wire? Is there a pressure plate? Is it you just step on it and it breaks away, and it's a breakaway floor, and you just falls out from under you? So forth. That poison dart trap, does it have an infinite number of poison darts? Is the poison constantly refreshed, or is it just, it fires once and it's over with? These are the kinds of things where you have to say, well, what's rational, what makes sense, if you're following that kind of model. Magic, that's the other one. Magic's a tricky one, because by its very nature, it defies certain, what we would consider logical or rational models. I mean, it basically can let you defy physics. You can fly, you can turn invisible. I mean, all these sorts of things that just simply in a realistic world would be deemed impossible. But there is a way to look at magic that's more in the rational design line, and that is the idea that, do you have a set of rules for magic? Is it just the rule book or whatever you're doing, and are you sticking to that? Or are you saying it's just magic isn't a plot device and anything goes, because sure, there's the spells that the characters know, but there's a whole realm of magic beyond that, or realms plural, that they don't know anything about, and what can or can't be done given those options can be very different. Neither one, again, is the right way or the wrong way to do it. Though I will say, I have run into some players who feel a bit railroaded if you start just throwing out the ideas like, it's just magic. No, none of your spells you think should counter it do any good. You're stuck with this curse or this quest or this whatever teleported you to this place. Your teleport spell isn't working to get you out, and they feel like they're powerless, and that can be frustrating for some players. So, that's a balancing act to a certain degree. Some players just go with it. Okay, we're here. Let's go kill the thing we're supposed to kill, or find the treasure we're supposed to find. Off they go, perfectly happy, because that's the adventure. It depends. And that's true of the whole thing. There are plenty of adventures out there that they don't bother to explain why this particular door is completely unbreakable, or how it's completely unbreakable. They don't explain how this monster happened to get so far down deep inside this pit and hasn't starved to death. It's not important. The important thing is it's a challenge for the characters to overcome. It's a game for the players to play, and all that's fine. But as someone writing an adventure and someone designing an adventure, I'm not talking about someone necessarily DMing it. And I'm not even talking about someone necessarily publishing it, professionally. I'm just talking about the person who sits down to write the adventure. You might find, even if you don't end up doing a completely 100% rational adventure, if you don't already, thinking about these kinds of things as you're writing it might help create a more entertaining adventure. One, because I find personally it can really spur creativity, because it forces you to really dig a little bit. You can't just say, it just happens. You know, you have to think, well, how? Why? And two, it can also provide a level of detail for when the players start asking questions you didn't expect, or start going in directions you didn't expect. You can say, okay, well, because this was all rigged up this way, if they push on this or they go that way, then they would you know, end up here, or this would happen. You know, you have a logic, enough of a framework in place that you can say, okay, well, I expected you to go like this, but since you went like this, I have an idea of what's over here because it's all connected. And that can lead to a more robust adventure that can actually withstand a certain amount of going off the rails, so to speak. Not to say that the less rationally designed can't as well, though sometimes that lends itself more to improvisation. But it's food for thought. So anyway, that's what I had to say about rational adventure design. And next time we'll see if we can come up with something else, but that's all for now.